My name is Matt Pullen. I work in the product marketing team here at Jamf, and in today's webinar you'll learn innovative ways to maintain your security standards without ever putting student data at risk. So let's take a look at that agenda. First, we're going to take a look at some of the security issues in education and what they mean for your institution. Then we'll take a look at what privacy and monitoring can have as an impact on student progress in their learning. And finally, we'll explore some of the solutions around how we can create a balanced way of supporting students whilst making their data secure and safe. Let's jump in. Now, security is an essential part of education. With the ever-emerging risk across all industries around cybercrime, education is no different. In fact, it's often seen as an easier target in many cases due to the thought that it may have less protections in place. But what does some of this terminology mean? Let's just do a quick recap. When we look at cybersecurity terminology, this is one that we'll hear the most: phishing. In short, it's those emails or messages you receive that are asking for a reset of password or something similar. You click the link and you provide access to an attack. Now, it can have a huge impact on education. First of all, those phishing attacks often target educational institutions because they maintain a wealth of valuable information, including student records, financial data, or even research findings. Now, phishing can disrupt education by compromising the confidentiality and integrity of that data, potentially leading to unauthorized access to those student records. And such breaches can harm the reputation of your education institution. Next up is malware. Software that gets downloaded onto your device and contains code that affects your devices and allows an attack to take place. Now, this again can have huge implications on institutions. First of all, disruption of learning. Malware disrupts the availability and functionality of education systems, including learning management systems, email services, or other digital resources. And malware can also lead to data breaches, compromising those sensitive student records, financial data, or even intellectual property. Addressing these malware incidents, or ransomware attacks as we'll discuss next, are often very costly, impacting an institution's budget and financial stability. And again, the damage to reputation is huge, which can instantly affect student enrollment and recruitment going forward. Now, malware threats in education underscore the importance of robust security practices, including those proactive measures to prevent malware infections and effective instant response plans to address them when they occur. And we mentioned ransomware already. Like malware, it impacts on your control of your network and your data, but in this case, it's tied up with the attacker demanding a fee or ransom in order to give you access back to your network or risk losing that data. And the impact on education here is huge. That disruption of your educational activity disrupts the normal operations of your education institutions. When you can't access your digital resources, your learning management system, student records, you're going to lose time as well as losing your data. And losing that data is a real impact on your data privacy and your regulatory compliance. And as we've said before, the financial consequences of dealing with a ransomware incident are costly, both in terms of that initial ransom, but also the resources required for any recovery or remediation. Finally, let's take a look at cryptojacking. This is where the attacker makes use of your systems, via malware often, in order to mine for cryptocurrencies. It's less about getting access to your data, it's more about using your computing power via scripts. Using your resources, you start to see a sluggish performance, and those resources cost money. And that cost is on you. Now, cryptojacking can also be an indicator of broader security issues within your institution's network. It may suggest that vulnerabilities exist that need to be addressed to prevent further attacks. Education on cryptojacking and its signs is crucial for students, faculty, and staff to recognize when their devices may be being exploited. Training can help raise awareness and prevent future incidents. And preventing cryptojacking in education involves implementing strong cybersecurity measures, such as network monitoring, endpoint security, and intrusion detection systems. You should also educate your community around the risks of cryptojacking and the importance of keeping systems and software updated to reduce these vulnerabilities. These stats highlight the range of concerns facing education due to the increase in devices, as well as the need for continued education around persistent and ever-evolving threats. The current online security landscape for education is characterized by these persistent cyber threats, particularly in the face of increased reliance on digital technologies for teaching and learning. Education institutions must prioritize cybersecurity measures, including these robust defense mechanisms, comprehensive training programs, and proactive threat detection and response strategies to safeguard that sensitive data and ensure the integrity and continuity of education services. Now let's talk about monitoring as a way of providing a secure learning environment for your students. Most education policies around the globe will mandate the use of filtering on devices that students have access to connect to the internet. Though the internet is an amazing resource, it has a lot of content that is not suitable for young people. Blocking access to these categories helps secure students whilst online, keeping the focus on learning, which is the intention of the use of technology. One thing that monitoring isn't, though, is surveillance. Now, there is a difference between stopping students accessing things to protect them and watching for what they are doing online. Though possibly done with the best intentions, there are some drawbacks to this approach. And it's important to understand the impact of any technology being used and the wider impact it may have. In the same way we filter content rather than block the whole internet, do we have a balanced view of what surveillance does? The landscape of safeguarding policies regarding monitoring and reporting software is as varied as the countries, states, or even individual school districts themselves. While some governments or education authorities may mandate the use of such software to bolster online safety and security, others leave the decision to the discretion of school administrators. Yet amid this diversity, a crucial truth emerges. The implementation of monitoring technology in schools necessitates a delicate balance between security and privacy, with significant implications for the well-being of students. These are just a few areas that get highlighted when you research the impact of surveillance or over-monitoring. It's clear that over-monitoring or surveillance of students whilst they're working online can have a detrimental impact on their well-being and school performance. Notably, that consistent surveillance does erode trust between the student and the school community, where students feel stifled or inhibited in their ability to learn in new and unique ways. It also can undermine that critical thinking that we know students need in order to progress their learning. When they fear that they might be told off for looking for certain things, not even related to any safeguarding issues, students are starting to self-censor what they do online, meaning they only look up things that their teachers have asked them to look up, and taking away that curiosity to maybe extend their learning beyond the parameters of what the lesson might be specifically focusing on. And those false positives take time to uncover. And when you have a false positive and ask students about these things, it further erodes that trust, because students now know that they're probably going to be accused of doing things that may not be anything negative. Well-being and students' mental health needs to be looked at from both sides. And as we said, This implementation is often done in the right ways, but we need to understand the wider impact of over-monitoring on the rest of the student population. And there's a stark truth that emerges through lots of the research. Lots of individual, diverse groups sometimes get the unintended consequences of this monitoring. Privacy is a critical part of an individual's rights. Now, knowing that they are safe and also that they are not being checked on supports a healthy relationship with technology and maintains a human element in the well-being of students. So let's take a look at some of Jamf's pillars when it comes to security and privacy. First off, in security. We help support schools and institutions with their security posture, helping to protect against cybercrime, which is on the rise and ever more sophisticated. We help with the remediation of devices attacks to support a change in ongoing behaviour. And we provide simple reporting that highlights those key issues around security. Next, privacy. Jamf's focus on alignment with Apple and the belief that student privacy is a right, and we utilise their frameworks to bring enhanced security to our products, like on-device content filtering, which we'll explore more later. And just because you can doesn't mean you should. We believe in principled innovation. We don't do things because it's what others do. We do what we think is right. And the building of trust is important to ensure students don't build a fear of technology. And transparency is a big part of privacy. Knowing where your data is stored supports that transparency and helps build trust. And finally, education. Students' well-being is a human issue. Monitoring devices can be supported by tools like Apple Classroom, but should still be based on knowing the students and supporting them. And students have access to other devices, and education of their safety online is important to ensure it impacts on them, regardless of device, whether they are in or out of school. And that security education is equally important to support them in their lives beyond school. When they're adults, they should still understand the dangers of malware, phishing, and cryptojacking. And with many schools not having a dedicated cybersecurity personnel, having a simple yet powerful solution supports that security posture, keeping networks and users safe from outside attacks that have that financial and learning implication on institutions. Like we said, we utilize those Apple frameworks to help build security. Both on-device content filtering and DNS over HTTPS are native technologies offered by Apple and make use of the network extension framework available in macOS and iOS. At Jamf, we hook into those network extension frameworks using on-device content filtering and DOH, making our solutions lightweight and user-friendly. Not only does this mean these settings can be enforced and managed by MDM, but it doesn't require a special type of browser or always-on VPN to inspect traffic. Both of these can be bypassed under certain circumstances by the end user, thus making the device less secure. The on-device content filtering technology is also very privacy-preserving. A huge amount of sensitive data is stripped from requests, and since on-device content filtering evaluates the traffic data on-device, it doesn't need to go to Jamf Security Cloud for evaluation when filtering content. It filters all the content on the device, not just browsing data through Safari or another browser. And making use of the native DNS setting DOH enforces a global setting, again affecting the whole device. It's this technology which allows Jamf to provide web-based threat prevention of such things as phishing, malware, or network traffic, or cryptojacking. And as mentioned, since both can be managed by MDM, these settings can be enforced, meaning that the user cannot turn them off or bypass them. And with targeted security reporting available should you choose to use it, you can see exactly which devices are getting attacked helping IT teams identify issues and support the ongoing end-user education around the dangers of cybercrime. And we always want to keep that focus on teaching and learning. And within Jamf Safe Internet, we make this simple and easy, with simple block categories for content filtering extended to our network threat prevention. Now, we don't think you're ever going to want to allow any of these things, but we also want to empower you to know that you are in control of turning these things on or off. And Jamf believes in privacy by design and by default. Jamf Safe Internet has been created with these principles in mind. When you access your instance, we're transparent in where your data is stored and the level of privacy set as full by default. Trust is important when dealing with technology. We want to ensure that trust is maintained so that effective and educated use of the internet is achieved. Only education of end users will keep them truly safe, as that education goes beyond school-owned devices into the use of personally owned devices and public networks or personal data usage. And there should be no distinction between privacy and security. One is never compromised at the expense of the other. Having a balanced approach to privacy and security helps keep students and schools protected. In that way, students are protected from harmful content and the focus remains on teaching and learning. Our privacy settings enable IT to make decisions based on their needs, highlighting the location of their stored data and informing them of the levels of privacy in place. Only security information will be reported, helping IT admins support the education of end users around malware, phishing and spam, identifying which devices have been impacted so quick and swift remediation can be put in place. And when it comes to educating our end users, particularly students, about internet access, it's crucial to adopt a multifaceted approach that combines discussions, monitoring, and support for awareness. When we encourage open dialogue, we foster an environment where students feel comfortable discussing internet usage, online safety, and responsible digital citizenship, encouraging them to share their experiences, concerns, and questions. Addressing relevant topics initiates those discussions around the importance of privacy, risks of cyberbullying, the consequences of sharing personal information online, and the impact of digital footprints. And we can provide real-life examples using case studies, news articles, or anecdotes to illustrate the potential dangers and benefits of internet access, encouraging critical thinking and reflection on their online behaviour. And where monitoring is an important part, we can talk about responsible monitoring practices, respecting privacy, that balance for monitoring with respect to students' privacy rights. Ensure the transparency about monitoring, such as the use of Apple Classroom supporting learning rather than checking on what students are doing, emphasising the goal of ensuring a safe and secure online environment. Because human interaction and monitoring in the classroom is a key element to any educator's role, whether students are online or not. Building those same routines to support and encourage learning helps build that trust between students and the educator. And finally, supporting awareness. We can offer educational resources, providing additional access to materials, online courses or workshops on topics such as internet safety, digital literacy, cybersecurity and responsible online behaviour. When we empower students to be proactive, we encourage them to take an active role in their online safety by teaching them how to recognise and respond to common online threats such as phishing, scams, malware or identity theft. And we foster a culture of responsibility, promoting this culture where students take ownership of their online actions and look out for each other's well-being, encouraging them to report any concerning or suspicious behaviour they encounter online and provide support channels for seeking help and guidance. And when we combine discussions, monitoring and support for awareness, education institutions can empower students to navigate the complexities of the internet responsibly, develop critical thinking skills and stay safe in a digital world. It's essential to create a supportive and inclusive environment where students feel empowered to make informed choices and seek help when needed. And technology is not a cure-all. We need a holistic solution involving the human's role in student safety as well. So let's just wrap things up by just covering all of those features that we've looked at within Jamf Safe Internet and some that we haven't had time to cover today. Jamf Safe Internet is essential in your content filtering and your security posture online, and provides very focused privacy modes, make sure that we get the best from the use of YouTube and Google Safe Search, but also extends some of those things with on-device content filtering to make sure that we are specifically allowing access to the tools that students can utilize. And we extend those tools with Jamf Protect, should you have Macs in your estate as well. Jamf Protect, that endpoint solution for all of your security needs, making sure that that device is absolutely secure from online threats. Now let's just walk through a journey of what this looks like as part of the whole Jamf solution to teaching and learning with technology. We know that people buy Apple devices because they have a vast impact on students' creativity and their accessibility and mobility of learning, changing what you can do with devices. We know it's important to connect them through Jamf, Apple School Manager, and utilize your legacy tools, be that Microsoft or Google, to support the access to other content. And we believe it's important to empower the teachers, students and parents with additional tools like Jamf Teacher, Jamf Student and Jamf Parent, as well as Apple Classroom, to help manage that classroom experience, and when the devices go home, empower parents to maintain that control to make sure students remain safe and utilize technology effectively. And we extend those tools through configurations with important educational apps like Shobi or GoodNotes that enable teachers and students to be able to use the power of the device and utilize those tools to extend learning opportunities. And as we've seen today, we wrap all of that up in our security layers with Jamf Safe Internet and Jamf Protect, making sure that our devices are secure and allow students to learn fearlessly. And it's important throughout all of this that we educate people through professional learning from both Apple and Jamf to make sure those devices are used effectively so that learning is the focus of the outcome. That's it for this session. I hope you found this insightful and learned some useful information that can help you with your security journey.